The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's second episode, The Star-Spangled Man, finds our heroes hunting down super soldiers while at odds with each other and the new Captain America, John Walker. Here's what went down and what it all means. After spending the first episode apart, Sam and Bucky reunite in a less than ideal manner. Upon hearing the news of John Walker replacing Steve Rogers as Captain America, Bucky heads to the United States Air Force base Sam is operating out of to give him a piece of his mind, calling Sam out for turning over Cap's shield in the first place. The two argue for a bit. Sam presents his theory that all the enemies they fight are either androids, aliens, or wizards, and then Bucky and Sam team up. Their attempt to scope out a potential Flag Smasher cell in Germany doesn't go as planned, but that doesn't stop them from continuing to take jabs at one another all the while.
Hello, girl, kick your
From this point on, Bucky and Sam are practically inseparable, despite their apparent distaste for one another. At the end of the day, they're both invested in stopping the Flag Smashers by any means necessary, and they have a vested interest in showing up John Walker in hopes of rectifying the damage they think he's doing to the Captain America mantle. They make it known following their messy therapy session that they're going their separate ways once the job is done, but it's pretty much a given they'll become full-fledged allies in the end. If not, surely they'll part with a mutual respect between them. The reveal of John Walker as the next Captain America in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 1 was a surprise both in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and for many viewers in the real world, who speculated all week about his character's intentions online. This week's episode is certain to keep the conversation going, now that Walker has spoken, had some of his backstory revealed, and established himself as an antagonist in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's story. A decorated army veteran and longtime admirer of Steve Rogers, Walker makes no bones about his desire to do right as Captain America. This is seen when he and his partner Lamar Hoskins, the MCU's version of Marvel Comics Battlestar, drop in to give Sam and Bucky some backup during their first fight against the Flag Smashers. All four end up on the losing end of the skirmish, but Walker's obliviousness to the disrespect that comes with him taking over for Cap makes it easy to see why. Right away, he seems to lack the leadership skills, self-awareness, and according to his Good Morning America interview at the top of the episode, the super soldier serum enhancements of his predecessor. Altogether, he seems to be kicking off his tenure as the Star-Spangled Man on the wrong foot. Walker recognizes that he's not Steve, which is a step in the right direction. However, it'll take more than that acknowledgement to prove himself a worthy replacement, not only to himself, but to Sam and Bucky as well. After suffering defeats at the hands of the Flag Smashers, Sam and Bucky make their way back to the US. There, the former Winter Soldier leads them to a Baltimore neighborhood to introduce Sam to an elderly man named Isaiah Bradley, whom Bucky met in 1951 during the Korean War and failed to defeat while under Hydra's control. Isaiah himself is revealed to be a super soldier, not unlike those in the Flag Smashers group or the original Captain America. Because of Bucky's time as a Hydra assassin, it doesn't take long for Isaiah to kick them out of his house, compelling Sam to interrogate Bucky about this apparently secret super soldier project that neither he nor Steve ever knew about. To avid comics readers, this tease should ring some bells, as Isaiah Bradley is a Marvel Comics legend. He made his introduction in 2003's Truth, Red, White and Black Issue 1 as an unwitting subject of Project Rebirth's attempts to recreate the super soldier serum. He survived the experimentation and became Captain America, storming the battlefront during World War II and helping secure a victory for the Allies. Much like the version we meet in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he saw jail time after the fact and has since faded from public consciousness. It's a tragic story that helps further ground the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The very system that created Isaiah silenced his inspiring and heroic story. He could have become an icon, but instead was left to live in poverty in the shadow of Steve Rogers, and now John Walker too. Hopefully, by the end of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's 6 episodes, the MCU world will recognize and appreciate Isaiah Bradley, and maybe even his grandson Elijah, who becomes a young Avenger patriot in many Marvel Comics stories. As Walker struggles to get on the same page as Sam and Bucky, their enemies continue to move in the shadows. Having bested the dysfunctional heroes, Karli Morgenthau and her small band of Flag Smasher members frantically send off supplies with a group of ambiguous enemies hot on their trail. It's revealed that these mysterious enforcers are employed by someone known as the Power Broker, who may become a key figure in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier going forward. The Power Broker name dates back to the 1980 run of The Thing, and the sinister plan behind it stays generally the same no matter the incarnation. The Power Broker, either the individual or business going by that name, promises clients that they too can enjoy heightened physical abilities much like those found in the Super Soldier Serum, oftentimes at a hefty price. This falls in line with the Power Broker's currently vague ties to the Flag Smashers, but could also point to a future development involving John Walker. At one point in the pages of Marvel Comics, Walker, prior to his debut as Super Patriot, visits the Power Broker to gain superhuman strength, speed, durability, and more. Considering how inadequate the seemingly enhancement-free MCU John Walker is beginning to feel after his first big loss, perhaps a trip to the Power Broker for a super boost is in the cards, if he hasn't visited him already. We'll have to wait and see what kinds of connections these two will have as the rest of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier unfolds. After telling John Walker that they won't work with him to track down the Flag Smashers, Sam and Bucky try to figure out their own leads. They want to stomp out the Flag Smashers, but they need to figure out the origins of their Super Soldier-esque abilities. That means they need to speak to someone who has extensive knowledge of Hydra's research into the subject, Helmut Zemo. Zemo first arrived in the MCU as the main antagonist of 2016's Captain America: Civil War. In the film, he exacts revenge on the Avengers for their participation in the Battle of Sokovia that got his family killed, setting the wheels in motion to fracture the team's seemingly unbreakable bond. With Cap and Iron Man at odds, the Sokovia Accords in full effect, and a brainwashed Bucky as his weapon, Zemo succeeds in his plan. Nevertheless, Black Panther apprehends him by the end of the film and sends him off to prison to pay for his crimes. Besides chilling in his prison cell, we don't know what exactly Zemo has been up to since we last saw him, but we're certainly going to find out in the next episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the meeting is sure to be fraught with tension and possible danger. The series has made it clear that Bucky is having trouble letting go of his past as an assassin, and that he's still fragile from enduring decades of Hydra experimentation and mind control. It took only a few simple words for Zemo to control Bucky's mind in Civil War, so who's to say he couldn't do it again in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Visiting Zemo is a massive risk for Bucky, but if it means saving the world from yet another major threat, surely it's one that the so-called White Wolf is willing to take. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.